Once upon a time, in a faraway land called Zuba, there was a powerful and wealthy king named Eze. King Eze's palace was made of the finest stones that shine under the bright sun, and his treasury overflowed with gold, silver, and red jewels. The king had vast fields of crops. He had countless herds of cattle and silk robes more luxurious than any other ruler in the land. Yet, despite all his riches, King Eze was never satisfied. His heart was filled with greed, and he always craved for more things. Every year, he raised the taxes on his people. He demanded more grain, more cattle, and more of the beautiful handcrafted clothes the villagers wove. He wanted the best of everything, and he took it without mercy. The people suffered under his rule, but they had no choice because his guards were ruthless. They ensured that his demands were met no matter how much the villagers wept or pleaded. Children cried at night from hungers. Families lost their homes when they could no longer afford the heavy taxes. The once joyful village became a place of sorrow, its streets quiet and its people fearful. Yet, King Eze sat on his golden throne, blind to their pain, reveling in his growing wealth. One day, an old woman named Mama Zuri, known throughout the land for her wisdom, came to the palace. She walked with a staff carved with ancient symbols and had eyes that had seen many seasons pass. "Great king, you have more than enough. Why do you take from those who have so little?" she asked, her voice steady but full of sadness. King Eze laughed, his voice echoing through the grand hall. "Because I am the king," he said, "and a king must have more than his people. That is the way of the world." Mama Zuri shook her head and said, "Beware, King Eze. A man who takes too much will one day have nothing. The spirits do not favor greed, remember." The king laughed and said, "Spirits do not fill the belly, nor do they build great kingdoms. I rule with wealth and power, not superstition." The wise woman sighed and turned to leave. But before she did, she spoke one last time. "The heart of a greedy man is like a bottomless pit. No matter how much you take, you will never be full." The king ignored her warning and continued his ways. But fate had other plans. One night, a great storm swept through the kingdom. Thunder rolled, lightning split the sky, and the wind howled like 1,000 angry spirits. The palace walls trembled, the golden roof rattled, and the heavy doors creaked as if something unseen was trying to force its way inside. When the storm finally passed, the kingdom woke to their devastation. But the most shocking sight of all was inside the palace. King Eze's gold had disappeared. His cattle were gone. His fields were barren. His treasury, once overflowing, was empty. The king ran through the halls in disbelief. "Where is my gold, my treasures, my riches?" he shouted, his voice shaking. When the king's guards saw that the king had nothing anymore, the guards abandoned him, and his servants fled. The villagers, tired of his greed, had taken back what was left in the palace, leaving him with nothing but cold, empty shell of his once grand palace. For the first time in his life, King Eze had nothing. No wealth, no power, no subjects bowing before him. Desperate and hungry, he wandered through the village, hoping for kindness from the people he had ruled over so cruelly. The villagers turned away and said to him, "You took everything from us. Now you will know how it feels to have nothing." With no food, no home, and no friends, the once mighty king became a beggar. The sun scalded his skin, and his fine robes became tattered rags. His stomach growled with hunger, but no one would feed him. Night after night, he slept beneath the bamboo trees, his body growing weaker with each passing day. At last, broken and humbled, he found himself at Mama Zuri's hut. "Wise woman," he said, his voice hoarse and trembling, "I have lost everything. I now understand. I was so greedy and cruel to my people. Tell me, what must I do?" Mama Zuri looked at him with kind yet firm eyes and said, "A great king is not measured by his wealth, but by how he serves his people. Give, and you shall receive." With a heavy heart, King Eze returned to the village. He gathered the people and knelt before them. He said, "I have wronged you all. My greed blinded me, and I caused you all suffering. I do not ask for forgiveness. I only ask for a chance to make things right." The villagers watched in silence, their hearts uncertain. And they said amongst themselves, "Could a man so greedy truly change?" But over time, they saw his efforts. He worked in the fields beside the farmers, plowing the land with his own hands. He wove clothes with women, learning the craft he once took for granted. He built homes for the poor, carried water for the elders, and shared his food with the hungry. Slowly, the people forgave him. They saw that he had changed, and as the year passed, King Eze became a different kind of king. He became a kind of king who didn't take from his people, but the king who gave to his people. King Eze rebuilt his kingdom, not with gold, but with kindness and justice. And the village flourished once more, not through wealth, but through unity and generosity. And so, the story of the greedy king became a lesson passed from generation to generation. True wealth is not in gold, but in the kindness we share and the hearts we touch. This is the end of my story.